Okay, we now welcome on the first guest in the history of the Back to Back Boys podcast. A very important, well established, and distinguished guest we have with us, Mark Gronowski. Some of you might be familiar with him. Mark, welcome. How does it feel to be the first guest ever on this show?
It's a huge honor. I appreciate you guys having me on. Excited to sit here and talk with you guys.
Zach, anything to add?
I'm just excited for it. I mean, just to get a little bit of the glimpse, we obviously have a close relationship with Mark and played with him for a lot of years, but just hopefully to be able to give some people a little bit of insight into, kind of what makes a quarterback so special. And then also just kind of, he's in the middle of a unique process preparing for the NFL draft. So it's a good time to get him on and be the first interview for the Back to Back Boys.
All right, so I'm going to read off your resume here to give people a little idea of what we're talking about here. We have a two-time national champion, two-time most outstanding player in those national championship games, multi-time All-American and All-Conference selection, Walter Payton Player of the Year, the all-time winningest college football quarterback with 58 wins, the Rely Quest Bowl MVP, the East-West Shrine Bowl MVP, and most important of all, our very close personal friend. So, Mark, again, thank you for coming on. I know it's busy. You got a lot going on right now, like Zach kind of mentioned, busy time. But just, again, thanks for taking the time and talking with us. So just to start off, kind of tell us what you're up to, where you're at, and, what's going on right now with you.
Yeah, so obviously Zach was talking about it a little bit earlier, that just going through the draft process right now. Currently living down in Fort Worth, training at APEC down here, and same place where Garrett trained actually. But it's been really good throwing with Jeff Christensen down here, and he's been training me, Haynes King at Georgia Tech, Sawyer Robertson at Baylor, and then Ty Simpson at Alabama. So it's been a good group, a good competitive group. Had a lot of fun here as well. Living with a former teammate that you guys know, Evan Berenson. So it's been a really good experience up to this point.
That's got to be interesting, living with Evan.
It's been fun. It's been fun to see.
You guys were apart for a year. I'm sure you missed each other.
Oh, yeah, I know. He was basically my roommate my final year at FCSU, so it's good to be back.
I was going to say, he was kind of everyone's roommate at one point, because I don't think like the house he lived at, he was never there. He was just like always at someone else's house, kind of there.
He's always bouncing around. I'm always bouncing around a little bit.
No. So I mentioned kind of the most recent thing that happened was the Shrine Bowl. So, and obviously you were the MVP of that game. So kind of talk to us a little bit about what that experience was like throughout the week. And I mean, obviously you performed very well, but just kind of walk us through how that went and how you thought you did.
Yeah, I thought it was a very interesting experience. It was a long week, but I really, really enjoyed it. All the different opportunities that I was given. When we first got there, I didn't really know what to expect, but kind of had to go through all the measurables, the medical stuff. And then ended up rooming with one of my former teammates at Iowa, Caden Weegan, who also had a great week down there. But every single day we were going to practice. We had multiple meetings throughout the day. And then also the long days of NFL interviews. So like the first day we were doing NFL interviews, it was kind of like speed dating where you're kind of going around to each room, talking to different teams. And one of the first days it was for like 4 hours, and the next day it was 3 hours. The next day it was 3 hours, 2 hours. But those were like mentally draining days because you're basically in job interviews all day long and trying to represent your best self. And I felt like I did a really good job of that, just kind of being myself, not trying to be anything extra. But I really enjoyed talking to those teams. It's kind of like the start of the process, really feeling like, gosh, this time is now, which I found a lot of fun in. But the practices as well, learning a whole new offense, learning to mesh with a bunch of different guys, and I had a lot of fun building different relationships, and I've built some friends there that I still continue to talk to. But when it actually came to game day, I was super excited that they ended up giving me the starting job for the game. And again, took the advantage of that opportunity and had a couple good scoring drives to start out the game, and ended up winning MVP that week. So again, all the coaches that I met along the way throughout that process, and all the people, it was really, really fun. And it was very different than what you're used to. It kind of felt like it was like a fall camp pretty much because you were going all day long, waking up at 6 a.m. and going to bed, studying your tape and till about 10 o'clock at night. So it was again a fun process, but yeah, definitely felt like fall camp.
Sure.
Yeah. And the two of us went through that process, but I'd be curious to know because, and I'm sure Garrett would say the same thing. For us, it was a lot of the same questions from the same teams. And I feel like people always talk about how the quarterback position is always so difficult to evaluate because there's so many things that you just can't measure that you need in leadership stuff. Are these teams asking you different questions then? Because me and Garrett can attest to it, how much of a presence you have within the huddle. Like, are they trying to ask questions to kind of figure that out, or are they just going out and kind of trying to get to know you to get a general sense of that?
Yeah, well, a lot of these teams have already obviously talked to our coaching staffs at SDSU, at Iowa, the strength staffs there, the training staffs, just to get a gauge of what kind of person I am. The I guess how I am in the weight room, injury wise, and all that stuff. And while I was there, most teams were asking those similar questions that everybody is getting. Like, tell me a little bit about your family. How'd you grow up? Did you grow up with both parents? Why'd you go to SCSU? Why'd you transfer to Iowa? Um, I guess the kind of there's a lot of basic questions that they kind of continue to ask throughout that. Like, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Like classic stuff, I guess, in a job interview as well. But the more interesting part was when they're kind of bringing up the film, and they brought up a lot of teams brought up the last game when I played Vanderbilt in the ReliaQuest Bowl, and they'd be like, "All right, tell me the play call on this play," and all I get is the first like the picture of the formation, and I got to give out the whole play call and try to like they were trying to see if I can remember it. And then they basically make me explain the read, and maybe we'll watch an entire drive, and I'll have to try and tell them every single play that happened on that drive, and kind of just like some memory recalling. And I thought that was like super super fun while doing that interview process. And some other teams were like, "Okay, you're playing Oregon." Now I got to think back to, okay, what kind of defense does Oregon play? It's a third down. What play are you running? And I'm like, holy cow, I got to think back to a random game and try to recall that information. And or sometimes they just ask like, what's your favorite play? What's your go-to? What's your favorite run play? And I'd have to try to draw it up to them, explain it to them, and then they might throw out like, okay, what are you going to do against cover three here? Oh, I'm going to change it to this, this, and this. So those kind of questions are a little bit the different side of things that the quarterbacks might be getting asked. And there's a lot of people that I saw watching film and getting questions on their film as the meetings were going on. But I think that the recalling and the extra cerebral part as being a quarterback is super important throughout those interviews.
Let's kind of touch on that. You mentioned the ReliaQuest Bowl against Vanderbilt. Would the next question first of all, thank you for beating Diego Pavia. I think that's for the entire country when we say thank you for that. Kind of just walk us through, because obviously you played national championships at the FCS level, then you played in the bowl game, and I know like when we were getting ready to play in the Natty, we kind of like drew some comparisons. But I mean, I guess you would know more. But it was always like, yeah, bowl games are, you kind of go somewhere cool, hopefully, and it's a bowl game, whereas a national championship, like you get to go somewhere cool, you're there for a longer amount of time, but it's a bigger game at the end of it all, more or less. So I'm just curious, like your thoughts on that, kind of the differences or the similarities between, playing in a FBS bowl game and the national championship.
Yeah, well, one, just to start off, it was great to see another Big Ten win over an SEC team, best conference in college football currently.
Clip it. Clip it.
Good,
Clip
good
it.
domination.
Clip it.
Clickbait right there. We got it.
No,
We got
it
it.
was a very interesting, I guess, dynamic of the bowl game, because obviously you're playing for something. You're trying to win a bowl game. You're going down there to win a football game at the end of the day. But it's not a national championship, and not everyone is, I guess, everyone's invested, but everyone's not fully invested. Like, oh my gosh, this is the end all be all. We got to win it all. Some guys are a little more lackadaisical as the week goes on, and there's a lot more free time that you get as a team. Like I remember for us when we were going through that national championship, we'd have meetings kind of almost all day. We wouldn't have a ton of free time just because the coaches were kind of trying to keep us busy as much as possible. But if we did have free time, most of us were sitting around the hotel. either spending time with each other and kind of enjoying the time that we have. But we're still super, super focused and locked in on the game. But at the bowl game, we're there for a lot longer of a time. We have a lot more free time. We're only practicing in the morning, maybe meeting once a day. And then people can kind of go out and do whatever they want to, like literally whatever they want to. They can go downtown Tampa. They can go out to some restaurants. They can, um, I don't even, you could really do anything you want during those times. And there's no penalty or anything like that. It's not like there's a curfew or sometimes there was curfews at some nights, but again, it's a lot more free and a lot more time. Like, let's go have fun as an entire team. We had the whole season. A lot of the upper personnel people end up showing up to the game, maybe that you haven't seen all season long, that they end up on the plane and you're like, who is this person? But again, it's for all the staff, all of the people that were helping out along the way, to just kind of enjoy and celebrate the season as a whole, instead of, I guess, the national championship being like, it's go time. We need to be 100% locked in. But again, we were still there to play a football game at the end of the day. Like, we are still ready to go and ready to play. But again, a lot more free at that
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Kind of like the reward at the end of a long season type thing. Everybody gets to, just hang out a little bit.
Yeah, and again, the activities and stuff. There wasn't like a crazy amount of activities we were doing, because I know when we were at SDSU, we had like the Magic guy come in for a day, which that was a super fun event. But leading up to the game, there was a lot more just staying together as a team and not doing a lot of the other stuff. But at Iowa, being at the ReliaQuest Bowl, there's a couple more events that we had to go to or got to go to along the way.
Kind of piggybacking also off what you said with your interviews, obviously we're majority SDSU based podcast. So kind of, I'm sure you've explained it before, but what did make you decide to go to SDSU, and what made you decide to transfer to Iowa? And just kind of talk about those two places. I know you're, loved at both spots, and you had a great career at both spots. So just kind of talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I wouldn't change my decision to go to SDSU at all. Not even one bit. It was my only scholarship offer coming out of high school. I ended up meeting Lujan at a camp, and he kind of told me to come out to South Dakota for one of their own team camps or their individual camps. And I was kind of just like, what the heck is in South Dakota? I don't want to go out there. Really glad I did. Ended up meeting Coach Stig, meeting a bunch of great people in the town, and kind of just felt like family, felt like home from right out the jump, and ended up getting my scholarship offer there, and pretty much committed 2 weeks later. And it was my only scholarship offer at the Division I level, and I had thought, why not take a shot there at the FCS level? It's a top FCS program, has been to the semifinals 2 years in a row. And I'm going to have an opportunity to start, because a lot of the guys there are currently pretty young guys, and I feel like I can go in there and compete right away. And obviously went there, won the starting job my freshman year, and had a bunch of great experiences, met some great people like you two guys. And it was just a really, really fun time to be there. And even the campus and everything, it just seemed to continue to grow. And the love for football, the love for South Dakota athletics continued to grow as we were there. I think we were big parts of that, which was really fun to see. But then I kind of told everyone that this was going to be my last year in 2024, my last season at SDSU, no matter what happened. I wasn't anticipating on transferring at that time. I was anticipating on going to the NFL draft route. I had the combine invite, was planning on going to the East-West Shrine Bowl, and all of a sudden, by the end of the season, I got hurt, and in the second to last game, and I played the final game hurt and injured. But after the season was kind of over, I kind of wanted to see like what was going on with my shoulder, kind of see what was going on with the draft process, see what scouts were kind of saying. And when I found out that I could either go the NFL route and kind of not be at 100% that entire time, or I can kind of go back to college for another year, get shoulder surgery, and be at 100% the following year when I go back into this process. So that's the kind of way I was leaning. And I had a couple coaches that I reached out to, and they kind of encouraged me, just go test out the portal, go see what's out there. If there's nothing good out there, you can just go to the NFL route. There's no hurt in trying it. And when I ended up reaching out into the portal, I had a couple teams reach out, and Iowa was one of them. Went on a visit there, met with Tim Lester, the offensive coordinator there, and he ended up bringing the Green Bay offense to Iowa, and just having a pro style offense, making pro style checks at the line of scrimmage, giving a lot more freedom to the quarterback. I thought that was going to be really important just for my development as a player. And then, Iowa is super close, and it's touching borders with South Dakota, and a lot of the people there, the culture is very, very similar to SDSU, and just a winning culture, really. And I could see that from when I stepped into the doors there. So that's why I decided to go to Iowa. Again, had a great time there, met a lot of great people, and had another great winning season there.
Yeah, that's you kind of mentioned it, both being in similar locations, but I guess kind of in terms of it, one's FBS, one's FCS, but you go into just a little bit of the difference, while you were there, maybe culturally, maybe just, kind of how things ran, of if they were very similar, ones just on a slightly bigger scale, or if there were dramatic differences, or just kind of things like that where, we only ever played at SDSU. We only
Yeah,
know one school, one mode of operation. Like, you were able to see a couple. You
right.
just kind of go into that a little bit, I guess.
I think, well, one, just we had such a great team those 2 years. We won national championships at SDSU, going back to back. A lot of those guys in that team, I can guarantee you, in this new era of transfer portal, probably would have been entering the portal maybe, and making some money in that way. And a lot of those guys that were on those teams could have been playing in the Big Ten and everything like that. But uh, the biggest change from one to another was really just the financial situation, on how much teams had to spend on their players, and how they had to, like, all the food that we got, and all the nutrition that we had after every single weight, during the straight, or during the lifting times. We would get a shake before, a shake after. There was all the fruit you can eat, all the other protein drinks you can eat. There's a bunch of snacks, there's sandwiches, like fully stocked fridges all the time. The nutrition that they really elevated at that level is super important. Like, all the extra supplements that we can be taking as well. Like, that just kind of takes it to the next level. But otherwise, like with practice and everything, that's very, very similar in that sense. I think Iowa does it a little bit differently because they like to hit a little bit more than most teams in the country. We had a pretty senior led group at SDSU, so the practices, I felt like, were always a little bit lighter on that side of things. But at Iowa, everyone's pretty proud of all, especially all the former players there. Are always pretty proud of how Coach Ferentz loves hitting at practice a little bit still. And even when we got spider pads on, guys are going full speed, and it's not a spider practice at all.
Yeah,
But
yeah. I'm
I,
sure. I'm sure that really took a toll on you getting hit in practice every day.
yeah, it did. It took a huge toll
Sure,
on
you
me,
didn't have a
obviously.
different color jersey on, and you had a 6 feet circle around you where nobody could enter. Sure, it
Yeah,
was
again, it didn't
brutal.
change me that much, but for everyone else, like, that's a big difference, I guess. But overall, I mean, it's still just football, and at the end of the day, like, there's not huge differences on that side of thing and scheme wise, because again, a lot of teams run similar stuffs, and it was kind of cool to see, like, just hopping in there, and just going out in there and being able to just go play football at the end of the day. But I guess the nutrition, the amount of people that were in the building as well, that's just some of the biggest differences from going from FCS to FBS.
I know you had mentioned kind of going there for the pro style offense, all that type of stuff, and you were coming off shoulder surgery in the spring. Um, so was it challenging to one, like, just learn the offense in general, and two, to have to learn it like without really being able to do any reps of it, and actually practice it? Like, just, you were only able to study the playbook. You couldn't take any live reps. Like, did that kind of make it a little more difficult, or did you pick it up okay, getting ready, rolling into fall camp?
I think the injury itself made it pretty difficult. Just one, building relationships with people was kind of tough, just in the sense of I wasn't able to be out there on the like in the weight room training with them, or on the field training with them, or during, like, our OTAs. Like, I couldn't be out on the field practicing with people, and that's kind of where you build that camaraderie, and competitiveness comes out to show, and then those relationships end up building that way. So I kind of had to figure out a different way to hang out with people, and I was pretty much saying like yes to everything whenever someone would ask me to hang out or do anything. And when it came to learning the playbook, I ended up spending so much time in Coach Lester's office because, again, I already graduated at SCSU. I was about to finish my master's. I only had 2 classes left. So I had a lot of time on my hands. So just sitting with Coach Lester for at least 2, 3 hours a day, either that's just kind of messing around and just talking, or that was watching film and kind of going over different plays, going over plays that he liked, going over plays that I like, and continuing to learn that way. But it was just spending a lot of time with him and even the other quarterbacks. Because we had another 2 new quarterbacks during that springtime. So there's a lot of learning that had to take place for a lot of us.
And I'll ask more of a softball question. We'll break this up. What was your favorite stadium that you got to play in?
I can't say one of them because I can't give them any praise. But it was always super loud in there, and we ended up beating them for some marker games in there, so it was pretty cool. But not going to give them any credit. But outside of that,
that's good. Nice to know you haven't lost that. That's good to hear.
Outside of that one, I think it wasn't that it was like that crazy of an atmosphere, but playing at the Coliseum in LA against USC, that was kind of a one that you've always watched growing up as a kid. USC playing there and seeing the Rams play there for a little bit. It was just a really cool experience, and it kind of felt super surreal. Like while you're standing in the middle of the field, taking a look around, like you're playing at that stadium. And there's so much more history to that game in general or in that stadium. But that was a pretty cool stadium to play in.
What if you had to pick like a second? Like, what would you pick for a second?
Outside of like the stadiums the home games.
No, you could pick what stadium was your favorite to play in.
I feel like you're kind of giving me sir. You want me to pick something specific?
I'm just curious. You picked
it.
You picked the Coliseum first. I'm curious what second. It surprised me a little bit.
I think playing at Nebraska too was actually really, really cool. And that's one that a lot of South Dakota people can kind of attest to, just being in that stadium. Super loud to start off the game. A lot of trash talking that was going on there. But it was really, really cool to shut them all up by the end of that game and kind of wave the fans home at that point.
So
yeah, that's always a good feeling. That was just
clarify the best stadium you played in wasn't Dana J and not Kinnick.
I was gonna say like outside of that. I knew you were trying to go that way.
Yeah. That was unfair. We can strike that. He tried to trap you. We can strike that.
Hey, he did. It's good questioning.
I was thinking away stadiums only. I was trying to think of away stadiums only.
That's fair.
Yep.
Yeah, that Nebraska game was cool. Let's kind of looking back on the season as a whole. I know Zach and I had kind of talked about it because we obviously followed you and the Hawkeyes throughout the whole year. I hate to say it, but it was kind of like the year of what ifs for you guys. Like, I don't want to get in on any sort of subject, but like you guys were right there with Indiana. And like we both said, like, unfortunately you had to come out of the game. But like, we think if you stay in the game, like you beat Indiana. And look what, Indiana went on to do. And the Oregon game too, like right there, come down to the wire. And that's 2 huge wins for you guys. So just, kind of look back at the season as a whole and some of those games that, could have gone, either way, and you were right there in the final few minutes.
Yeah, those were tough games to kind of swallow that pill as a loss for those ones. Even just I'm training with a guy from Indiana, and I've kind of met a couple of the Indiana guys after that game, and they've kind of all said that Iowa game was the toughest one they played all season. And not to say that they were cheering when I got hurt, but they gave a little like yes on the sidelines. Like, but it was a tough way to walk out of that game. Especially we were winning winning by the time I left. I really wish I would have been able to stay in that one. The atmosphere at Kinnick was immaculate at that time. But again, that was a really close one, and we still had a lot of the season left, and we had 2 losses at the time. So as long as we won out, we were going to be okay. And we are going to have some tough games coming up. I mean, the Penn State game was a really, really tough one. I'm glad we were able to squeeze that one out. But then that Oregon game, That was a real heartbreaker because once you have those 3 losses, you're kind of out of the college football playoff talk at that point. But we didn't play that great to start off the game, and granted, it was 40 degrees and raining the whole time. But not going to make any excuses on that side of things. We were still able to move the ball. We were still able to score some points. And at the end of the game, the offense wasn't working to what we wanted it to the entire game. But when it kind of came down to it, we ended up putting a 95-yard drive together, kind of put our team into the best situation we could offensively. Obviously, just we weren't able to finish. Or maybe if we got a 2-point conversion on that drive, then it maybe would have been a little bit differently. Maybe we win that game. Maybe we go to OT instead. You don't really know what happens, but there's a lot of tough losses. But you kind of have to learn that once that happened, it kind of felt like the season was kind of over at that point. But there's still a lot that just the standard that Iowa has and the culture there that we still take every single game one at a time, and no matter what the stakes are at that point, like we're still going to bring our best every single day, and no matter if we're already a 3-loss team or not. And I felt like we kind of showed that the rest of the season that we were ready to go and we were playing hard.
Yeah. You can't play the what if game. But I think, and Zach, you might agree, if against the Oregon game, if you guys just tried a few more like 65-yard field goals into the driving wind and rain, I think maybe you would have,
Penn State. I was boots on the ground for the Penn State game, and I was going to bring this up because you were obviously watching it. You guys, to set the scene for the people who are unaware, you guys were doing a 2-minute drive, and you get to would have been slightly over midfield, and there's 3-4 seconds left. Coach decides to trot the kicker out, swirling winds. Your kicker seemed pretty good, but
kicker was really good.
Penn State calls a timeout. He kicks it anyways, and it's short. Like I don't know if you could see it from the sideline.
It was really short.
Where I was sitting, it was like, hey, like thank God they called timeout. Let's not do that again. Like I trust the guy, or I'm sure you guys trust the guy, but probably doesn't have an extra like 5 to 6 yards that he didn't put into that one. And then to, go along with the story, you kick the next one, it gets blocked, returned for a touchdown to end the half. Was anything like brought up at halftime, or how because we were all baffled in the stands. Like did Ferentz say anything about it? Did people have to speak up about it? Because I mean, it was just one of those stunning things. What just happened?
Because I can't remember the lead at that point. I think we were winning, and then it became tied, or maybe they took the lead going into half. I can't remember exactly what was going on.
I think it was 14-13, if I remember. So it was 13-7, and then that touchdown put them up by 1. My memory serves right.
I think you're right. And that, again, I thought we were going to go for maybe a Hail Mary or something like that. I thought we were a little too deep, but again, Drew Stevens, brother of Jack Stevens, former player at SDSU as well. I mean, he makes 70-yarders in practice look like nothing sometimes, and he has one of the strongest legs I've seen in college football. But again, that was the swirling winds, him missing the first one. Coach Ferentz kind of went into the locker room at that point and kind of just took that one on the chin and kind of held himself accountable for that one, and wishes he didn't do that right away. But kind of had a forward-thinking mindset at that point, like, that was a mistake on me. I apologize for it, but we got to move forward now, and we got to find a way to win this football game at the end of the day. And we ended up doing that. So it didn't really matter too much. But I'm sure that if we ended up not winning that game, there would have been a lot of talk about that one singular play throughout the game.
Okay, well, I mean, at least that adds a little context to it, because, I mean, to be fair, like, college kickers just normally don't make 65-yarders on a good, like, weather day.
Yeah, no. But he did end up setting.
So if he had the leg strength, and like he's made him in practice, and I know game and practice are different, but if he just wanted to take a shot, that makes me feel a little bit better that like he was capable of it, because I didn't think, like, there's no way a college kicker can drill a 65-yarder.
Right, and I don't know when the other game was this season, but he did breaking the record for longest field goal at Iowa this year with a 59 yarder. So the 65 one, we would have kind of blown that one out of the water. But
Yeah. I don't think anybody's
yeah,
ever broken the record by like 10 yards.
no,
It's
that
usually
would
about
be
like 1 yard increments.
right, right.
Uh, no, that makes me feel better because by halftime of a night game at Kinnick, you've had 2 or 3, and everyone in the stands at halftime was like, "Do we need some kind of pump up speech?" Because we didn't know what that was. But then, in very Mark Gronowski fashion, end of the game, Mark runs left, takes the soul out of the opposing defense, and the Hawkeyes win.
I think I've seen that one before. It was
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get it.
sometime in April.
That was a nice little reminiscing.
Yeah, for sure.
Made us feel good to watch you.
Yeah.
You're like, oh man, those were good times.
I miss when he was on our team.
But no, that play though took so much air out of the stadium, and then to kind of go back later to have one of the most like electrifying roars in the stadium on the long run that I had, and then literally the next play scoring a touchdown. That was
that's right.
That was some incredible like changing of emotions throughout the game.
You got hawked though, didn't you? You got caught.
Hey.
No. I was trying to give it to Caden to let him score the game-winning touchdown there. It's just
right.
I was being
a good teammate. Good
My
guy.
mistake. Your heads up move, chess, not checkers. You were 2 steps ahead.
No, if you actually look back at that play, it was kind of insane. I made the run, broke a tackle, started going, and I felt like I was breaking away from the guys that were kind of around me. When you look at the film, you see this guy on the other side of the field, this corner, just starts screaming across, and it basically looked like the DK Metcalf play from a couple of years ago. Yeah, he's just like, he's hauling, and I'm like, how the heck is this guy catching me? And he ended up catching me on that play, so it is what it is.
No, you were just looking up for the boys. You're like, hey, I want to
that's
get
what it
this
was.
guy.
We'll say that.
Fair.
Sometimes as a ball carrier, you get caught from behind. It happens. It's no big deal. It may have happened to me once or twice. It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. Don't worry about it.
Garrett doesn't know about it.
I was going to say, when you got tackled, you looked like a sack of potatoes falling. So
he always fell forward, though, for 4 yards.
Always fell forward and always fell on, like, his chest with his feet 3 feet up in the air.
Hey, you only get your knee blown out once, and then you learn to fall ugly.
Yeah, and it worked. You're throwing a 5-yard stick route to Zach Hines. It's going to be at least an 8 or 9 yard gain, no matter what.
Come on. It's a good first down play.
Yes,
it's first down on 2nd and 5.
I love it. I'm here for it.
How do you feel about the Iowa State Cyclones? Now with Jimmy there now, I just want to hear, how do you feel about?
Yeah, I'm really happy for Jimmy. Obviously, happy for Max Balloon as well. I kind of started a little bit of discourse on Twitter when I ended up responding on Max Bloom's Twitter, and some people blew up on me like, I can't believe he's cheering for an Iowa State player. But that's a guy that I played with for 5 years at SDSU, and Rogers is one of my favorite coaches of all time. So definitely gonna be cheering for those 2 guys and some of the other coaches on that staff. But obviously, I'm gonna be cheering for the Hawkeyes every time they play, and hopefully, I get the opportunity to go to that game in Kinnick this fall, which I think is gonna be really, really fun. But I was really close in debating on sending Rogers' son a Mark Gronowski jersey, Hawkeye jersey. I thought that would have been a really good housewarming gift for a new Iowa person, but I decided not to. Try to be nice a little bit, but I've talked to him a couple times. It's been good to hear, and it's been good to see that those guys are transitioning well over there. And what was kind of cool to hear from Rogers is that his son was actually walking through the facility there, and there's a picture of the Iowa versus Iowa State game this past year, and he basically found me right in the picture right away. So kind of just shows that I guess not the impact, but just the relationship that we had and I had with his family as well is just a really special relationship.
And then to this,
Right.
All right, you go. I was just going to ask, between Iowa State and Nebraska, at least in your opinion, because I don't know. Like, I'm not versed with it. Like, we have our answers for the rivalries between SDSU, but like, which one of those 2 schools one, did you not like more? And then two, like as a fan base and also like as a team, like which one of those was like, no, screw
Hang
these
on.
guys. Like this.
That's so funny you asked that because my next question was going to be who has the worst Twitter trolls, Nebraska or Iowa State? So
This is probably going to be.
It was kind of hard to like build up the hatred a little bit throughout, like just not being there long enough. Like I remember as a freshman at SDSU, like the hatred for NDSU wasn't 100% there yet. But obviously, after playing them one time, like I mean, you just hate their guts and all the buildup that Coach Stig had for the game, and you just kind of build that hatred up throughout the years of playing them back to back years every single year. But at Iowa, I would probably say Nebraska always felt a little bit of a bigger rival by the end of it, and I think that's because of the long season of Twitter trolling, kind of built up the hatred for them. But I will say that I think that the Iowa State trolls are a little bit stronger on that side of things. And maybe that's just because my timeline has a little more Iowa stuff. But I think the guys on the team, especially, I think they do hate Iowa State more overall. I got some crap for being buddies with Rocco Becht, former Iowa State quarterback, now at Penn State. But me and him roomed together down in Louisiana for the Manning Passing Academy a couple times, and we text here and there throughout the seasons. And a lot of the guys in the team were like, "You can't talk to him, you can't shake hands with him after the game. Like this is Iowa State game. Like this is a rivalry." So I kind of respected that a little bit, but I think Nebraska was like, to me at least, a bigger rival.
valid. Good point.
Yeah, but nobody compares to NDSU.
Well, I
I'll
mean,
say that.
we beat their ass every time we played them, so
True.
I believe what, Mark, you were 5-1?
5-0.
Oh.
2 this last season
yeah.
too.
Sorry, I forgot about my.
While you were there, yeah. As well.
Yeah,
We stopped paying
our
attention
fault.
to it.
Not our
Us
fault. Wasn't our
together,
fault.
Yeah, right.
I got okay. This might be a hard question, but you can't take the cop out answer. So, like, gun to your head, you have to answer.
Nope.
Sunday night.
Nope.
It's Sunday Night Football.
Oh.
You're doing like the NBC introduction. You say, "Mark Gronowski." What school are you going to say? And you can't be
Elementary.
like Naperville, Illinois. You can't give
Mark Gronowski, Graham Elementary.
Your answer
No,
must be a college.
I guess you're gonna have to see when I get to that point. You'll have to wait and see.
He's taking the worst. He's taking the
worst.
You'll have to wait and see.
Is there any chance we get you to say both?
I don't know if you can. I don't know if that's allowed.
But like if you just say like really fast and you could like
South Iowa University.
SDSU Iowa.
University. SDSU Iowa University.
I was gonna say you only got you got to squeeze it in. You guys say it fast.
I mean,
Yeah,
some
really
people
fast.
say like a long, like the Ohio State. Like they take their time. You can fit it in.
Yeah, I guess everyone will just have to see once I get to that time, and guys will help. I do get to that time. You'll find out.
All I know is I don't want you to be starting on Sunday Night Football and me to have to get upset watching the TV right before.
No matter what, there's going to be some good Twitter discourse at that point, so I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, we'll start it either way. Either way, we're starting it.
I know. I'm going to get some hate and some love from both sides. I already know.
Fair enough.
Zach, any more questions?
I think that's been it. I got all my questions answered. Geez, you got anything else?
We'll finish on a softball here, kind of positive note. Give us your favorite memory from SSU and your favorite memory from Iowa. And then that'll be
So I mean, I think the first thing is at SDSU kind of being back in that national championship. Obviously, I got hurt in the first one and kind of thinking like, will I ever be that same player again? Will we ever make it back to another one? Because that was the first one SDSU's ever been in. To kind of go back and be against our rivals NDSU and kind of win that game in dominant fashion. And I still remember kind of jumping up into your arms, Garrett, like kind of celebrating. And we were super juiced about that game and had a really fun time after that. So I think that whole game was my favorite. That whole day, I guess, was my favorite SDSU memory. We had a lot of fun after that game as well.
Somebody got a really cool picture of that. I have that picture somewhere. That's
I got it on my phone somewhere. I think it might be on my Instagram possibly. It's a good one for sure. But then I think at Iowa, even though we ended up losing that game, it was a big CBS game, a national televised against Oregon. Kind of completing that 95-yard drive and then scoring that final touchdown on the quarterback sneak or quarterback draw. I think that was the loudest like crowd pop I've ever heard in my entire life. I pretty much blacked out in that situation. I did probably the most brain rot celebrations through the 6-7 up at the camera,
remember
super
that.
aggressively.
I
It's
remember that.
it's now on the big board at Iowa basketball games whenever they get to 67 points. So that makes me feel really good.
Oh, that's kind of cool though.
Yeah, it's kind of cool, but it's kind of like
I mean,
blacked out in the moment. I wish I didn't do that, but
if you're gonna do like a dorky celebration, at least it can like be made into like a basketball video.
Yeah, it's used for other
so
things
people never
instead.
ever forget.
Right. But again, that whole game, it was like we couldn't get the offense going. We decided to start throwing the ball pretty much that entire drive, and we're super successful and ended up scoring that touchdown and gave our team the opportunity to win. But just the emotions of that entire feeling, like that's what everyone chases and dreams of as a little kid. And I guess that was probably my favorite moment at Iowa.
Okay, well, I don't have anything else. Again, Mark, thank you for doing this, taking the time out of
Thank you, Mark.
your schedule. We'll give it up for Mark. Everybody say thank you, Mark. We
Best first guest we could ask for.
Yep.
I appreciate you guys. Appreciate you having me on. I love how we just continue to stay connected. I'm excited. It's been fun listening to you guys on this podcast, and I'm excited to continue to listen going forward.
Since you're the first guest, even like when you're big famous NFL quarterback, if we text you, you do have to come on. You don't have a choice. So
I agree.
Just so you know.
I'm there anytime.
We will talk about it the following week after your Sunday Night Football introduction. We will have to have you on after that. So.
Just put me on for a quick call. Just randomly
immediately after.
Just tell me that I'm on.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for doing that. Or hey, what the hell was that?
Yeah.
You got to come
when
on.
I get that call, I'm gonna know. I'm gonna know. I'm gonna know. I'll be ready.
All right, man. Well, congrats on everything you've achieved so far. Good luck at Pro Day coming up, and obviously we'll be following you moving forward. And best of luck as you head in the NFL.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.